Good evening, folks. Welcome to the final concert of the 3-week run of Traditions Weeks at Common Ground on the Hill. This is going to be some night of music and fun. We've got a lot of old friends, and I mean that in both ways. They're old and they are friends. There's a few young folks, so don't tune out yet. Um, and we got folks from all over the planet calling in, and it's going to be a special night. It's Magic and Mandolins on the Hill night. To start us off with a little magic, we all need a little magic in our lives right now, right? The COVID is not magic. It's not magic enhancing, but we're going to beat back some COVID right now with our magician, David Thoman. Make some magic, David.
Hey, wow, what a great response of a sound effect we're having here tonight in our home theater. Hey, it's great to be with you. My name is Dave Thoman, D's Magic. Welcome to the final night of Common Ground on the Hill, where at the beginning of this year, looking through a window, we didn't see the 2020 vision of Common Ground on the Hill having a pandemic. But what did we do? Well, we didn't give up. In our 26th year, we realized that the pandemic was going to make things puzzling for us. So what did we do? Well, we did our homework so we could solve that puzzle. Walt, have you ever played with a Rubik's Cube before, Walt?
You know, I think I'm too dumb for that thing.
You're not too dumb for it. Can you hear me okay, Walt?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
I can use a different microphone if necessary. This is kind of like a face filter type of microphone there. I know we were having some difficulties, folks. That's why we got on the air a little late, but thank you for being here. We don't need to worry about the microphone. But Walt, I had 8 students this year, Walt, in my basic magic class, to include Martin from Argentina.
Oh, Martin, he's a smart fellow.
He's a smart fellow, and he'll be mandolin in here tonight. I'm so excited that he can be with us here tonight. Well, in basic magic, the students learn something called 2-card Monte. And it's an idea of 2 cards where people think that these are actually decorations that I would have or something like that. But what these are is it's actually part of the show. So you can see, Walt, we have a Queen of Hearts here, and Walt, the other card that we use in the table decorations is the King of Spades. But see, students in Common Ground on the Hill, they learn 2-card Monte. They learn, Walt, how to make cards switch places.
Whoa.
But Walt,
whoa, hold on there, Dave.
For you, Walt.
I feel like I'm in Vegas.
Walt, I'm actually going to make a big deal about what's going to happen.
Okay.
I'm actually playing with a full deck. Mrs. Thoman, our mythology teacher, would maybe tell you otherwise. But this is a full deck of cards, just like cards you would have at home. They're just larger. And Walt, before we came on the air tonight, I made a prediction. Now, Walt, you and I did not prearrange anything other than knowing you were just going to be helping, correct?
Not a thing.
Not a thing. So you had no idea what we'd be doing. But Walt, before we came on the air tonight, I took one of the 52 cards and I flipped it over. So I'm going to send you a thought and tell us, Walt, do you think it's a black card or a red card?
I believe it's a black card.
So that would make it a club or spade. Interesting. Walt, do you think it's a club or spade?
Well, I think it's a club.
You think it's a club? Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you know, some cards are faces, some are numbers. Do you think it's a face card or a numbered card?
Well, I would say it's a face card.
A face card. And what face card, what club face card, Walt, then is flipped over in the deck this evening?
I'm guessing the Queen of Clubs.
The Queen of Clubs. Now, again, nothing arranged here tonight.
Not a thing. Besides, my memory's not that good anyway.
But what I want you to see this, because I'm going to try to spread out the cards here in the light good so you can see that they are indeed different. They're just like cards that you would have at home. But one of the cards, I flipped over, Walt, one of the playing cards before I started tonight.
Ah.
And what did you say the card was?
I said it was the Queen of Clubs.
Oh.
Now, Dave, Dave, I feel like I'm in Vegas again.
How about that, everyone?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Good
Whoa.
job there, Walt. Congratulations for making the magic happen. In fact, Walt, you remember how two-card Monty now works. So one card would be like a red card, for example. We normally don't do it with different or the same color. You'd want to use like different colors. So that way people know how it works. So they know that, like, if this, for example, is the king, then you know this queen is here.
Yeah.
Just making sure we're playing along here. I hope everyone has enjoyed the third week of Common Ground on the Hill. I had the pleasure of teaching week 1 and week 3, 8 students that have learned the art of magic. And I made a commitment to them that I wasn't just exposing secrets, but they are going to be using magic. Most of them were teachers in the classroom. But Martin, if you're listening, you can make a pick appear while you're playing that mandolin or some mandolin. You know what I'm saying? Get me excited about hearing some mandolin tonight. But you know what we didn't count on this year, in closing, what we didn't count on this year is that we would be looking through a different window for the 26th year of Common Ground on the Hill. And some of us felt blue about it. You know?
Yeah.
But we found courage to somehow put this together. And we know there's going to be greener pastures because of our efforts. In fact, one might say that the 27th year of Common Ground on the Hill, looking through that window, will be stronger because of this experience. So I don't want anyone feeling blue.
Whoa.
We had red. We had a lot of courage this year, didn't we?
We did.
We did. Students, teachers, putting this thing together. We displayed a lot of courage this year.
Courage or folly.
Through a different window for Common Ground on the Hill. These are greener pastures, everyone, for us, because we have learned more about how to educate online as well as in person. To everyone, greener pastures are ahead.
Unbelievable.
We look up, and I'm telling you, it is brighter. One might say the sun will come out tomorrow. In fact, speaking of sun,
Whoa.
color this up here tonight. In fact, you know, one might say that the 26th year of Common Ground on the Hill ended up puzzling for us, but yet we found a way to solve it. So Walt, next time I have a chance to see you in person, let's play with that cube. And let's realize that together, everyone, we can solve this through common ground. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the concert.
Thank you, Dave Thoman, Mr.
I'm going to
Dave.
be playing with a Rubik's Cube here while I'm listening to some mandolin here tonight. Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic. Dave, thank you so much. And folks, you should know that Dave, he's for hire. If you want to have a little magic at a party, at one of your socially distanced parties, you can find him on the internet, and he's doing online shows. So, you know, help a musician, help a magician, and keep us all together. Well, we have an exciting night of music, and we'd like to start off with something that we had meant to show in an earlier program. As many of you know, we lost our dear friend Eileen Carson Schatz last summer, right after Common Ground. And we miss her a great deal. And her very good friend, Elizabeth Melvin, is going to show us this song that Eileen treasured. And we should make note that Mark Schatz is actually playing bass in this cut. So make welcome from Annapolis, Elizabeth Melvin.
Hi, everybody. So good to be here. Thanks for giving me another chance, Walt, to be in the concert. I introduced this video on Tuesday, and then it turned out to be another clip that I had sent of my choir. This is the Freedom Choir performing a song written by Mitch Barrett, the great Mitch Barrett, and Carla Gover, which Eileen turned me on to about a year before she passed, and we never got to sing it together. I think we informally sang it, but after she passed away, I just knew I wanted to lay it on my choir, and I arranged some harmonies for them to sing on the chorus, and I invited Mark to play bass on it, and we performed it for our December 2019 concert. So here it is. It's called Drop in the Bucket. Enjoy.
Well, it's a crazy world we live in. Bad news all around. Brothers and sisters, if we're gonna make a difference, you know we gotta stand our ground and be a drop in the bucket and a bucket in the pond, and the pond fills the river and the river rushes on, and every river swells the river till the power can't be stopped, and what becomes a mighty ocean started as a drop. Down in Alabama, a lady boarded a bus. The driver said, "You're black, you gotta get in the back." Rosa said, "I've had enough." She was a drop in the bucket and a bucket in the pond, and the pond fills the river and the river rushes on, and every river swells the river till the power can't be stopped, and it becomes a mighty ocean started as a drop. Great Britain ruled over India, made them slaves to the goods they bought, till Gandhi took his people to the ocean and said, "Look, free salt." He was a drop in the bucket and a bucket in the pond, and the pond fills the river and the river rushes on, and every river swells the river till the power can't be stopped, and what becomes a mighty ocean started as a drop. Alice of Calcutta, Mother Teresa lived her life. She did much more than feed the poor. She showed us how to shine our light. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let
Fantastic. Elizabeth Melvin, thank you so much. It's great to remember Eileen Carson in this way. We miss her, but her spirit is present and her work continues through all of us. Tonight, we have an amazing collection of mandolin players who represent a really broad spectrum of music that is played by the mandolin, by mandolinists. And our MC this evening is a person who has one of the broadest ranges of experience with the instrument, is one of the great players of our generation. I'm proud to call him my friend for many, many years. Make welcome Jerry Lee Mitterhoff.
Greetings, everyone. It's great to be here on the first night of the mandolin concert at Common Ground. It was kind of just an idea some of us had, and Walt just took it and ran. And we do have some of the greatest mandolin players in the world here tonight, and they're going in all different directions and different branches on the tree, but we can't go ignoring the main part of the tree and the real roots mandolin playing. So we're going to start it off with the Foghorn String Band, which features Caleb Clowder. And this is a great old-time bluegrass band. They play old-time music, they play bluegrass, they play Cajun, they play honky-tonk music. And I had the privilege of seeing them at a VFW hall in New Jersey a couple of years back, and I was knocked out by their playing, especially Caleb's mandolin playing. It's in that Bill Monroe school, but it's fresh and new as well. So please welcome Caleb Clowder and the Foghorn String Band. There we go. Mighty fine.
Not getting a picture.
We had the pleasure of meeting this next incredible mandolin player on a tour of Czechoslovakia, when there still was a Czechoslovakia, back in 1986. Tony Trischka and Skyline were the first band to tour Czechoslovakia, and we played a concert in Ostrava, I think. And after the concert, we went to a little party, and there was this cat who was like the most serious mandolin player I'd ever met, and he practiced all the time, and he wrote tunes, and he had a little trio, and his name was Radim Zenkel. And it wasn't just very short time after that, he left Czechoslovakia, and right after he left, the country split into two parts. but he moved to California where he met David Grisman and proceeded to change the role of the mandolin in American music and music in general. Radim is a member of the Modern Mandolin Quartet. He takes the chair that Mike Marshall used to take. He also plays with Mike's Gurr Mandolin Orchestra. He does all kinds of things to the mandolin. He plays it with a pencil, sometimes with a bow, sometimes, and he retunes it in different unique tunings that no one ever tried before. So I'm not sure if we're ready for him, but I know you're going to enjoy him. And so he's teaching the swing workshop, swing mandolin workshop. So he plays swing music, he plays bluegrass, he plays Eastern European music as well. So welcome, if you will, Radim Zenkel. There he is.
Hello, everybody. Very great to see you. Maybe before we play the video, I'd like to just say hi to all my friends, to Walt, Rex, to Danny, Chris, to Harry, and many others. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you, Barry, for the nice introduction. I certainly remember very fondly our meeting back in the 80s in Czechoslovakia. Barry, you were the very first mandolin player from United States who I've met in person, and
Wow.
that's something to treasure for the whole life. Until then, we were just relying on recordings, LPs or rather copies on reel-to-reels. And it was very inspiring, and I was certainly very fond of the band Skyline and your role as a mandolinist there. And later on, hearing your first LP, the Silk City, a variety of musical styles, also from old time to jazz and modern musical stuff. So it's great to keep in touch. I remember also visiting you in New Jersey, several years after that when I got to United States. So
This might be
it's a great.
might not be the best time to say this, but I also should mention the fact that you were a victim of the California wildfires a few years back and lost much of your music and some instruments, and I don't want to tell you I feel terrible about that.
Thank you. True. Yeah. What can we do? It's true, and I'm happy to be to be alive, and it I that's the main thing. And I was on the road, so I had my main instruments with me, mandolin and mandola, and so I'm mourning the loss of many musical ideas and written notes and stuff. It is what it is. We carry the biggest treasures with us, and also it showed that the support of the music community, such as Common Ground and David Grisman and many other music communities and organizations who I belong to, was amazing. So there was a great connection, and it meant that much more than the monetary stuff. It was just the hearts and the connection and feeling so a sense that we stick for one, we stick together, and one belongs to something. So it's you can see the tragedy with a sort of positive eye. So.
Yeah, it's great you're here again.
For tonight's concert is pre-recorded for two reasons. For time difference, my spot will be sometime around 4 a.m. local time. But mainly, since recently I did some live streaming from Europe to US, and the sound got quite distorted. So we'll hear a short segment of my original tune, The Twin Peaks, then Eref Shoshanim, Evening of Roses by Yosef Hadar. And since I also teach the didgeridoo at Common Ground, I will close up with some of the digi sounds from Down Under. So take care, and I hope to see everyone next year at Common Ground.
Well, Radim Zinkel, all the way
Incredible.
from the Czech Republic. Radim, thank you so much. And thanks for staying up so late. It's easy for us. I think it's about 2 o'clock your time in the morning. But thank you so much for being part of our team. And again, we all felt your pain when we learned about your house burning, but we're glad that you're okay. And I think some people came to your aid, so that's great. We look forward, if we're happening in person next year, we'll see you. Our next performer comes to us from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And he was on campus last year with the band Che Apalache. And Martin is just a wonderful musician all around. He plays a number of instruments. We get to chat with him every Wednesday. We have a little chat group that gets together and throws things around and back. And it's a real pleasure to be able to bring him on from Buenos Aires. Make welcome Martin Bobrick.
Volver al pago.
I'm sorry, Barry is just not turning back on his video. I keep asking him, he says he's going to do it later. I can't get him on doing all these other things. I've been trying to put through the chat to you, but I can't. So he's coming up next. I'll just put up his words. This thing's over. Okay? Thank you.
Fantastic, Martin Bobrick. It's great to have him with us all the way from Buenos Aires. Our next performer is someone who's been talking already tonight, and it's Barry Mitterhoff. Let me tell you a little bit about Barry. First of all, he's been teaching at Common Ground since our very beginning. That makes it 25 years, 26 years. Barry has developed an international reputation for his versatility, having adapted the Brazilian, Italian, and 19th century American duo style. A veteran of bluegrass, klezmer, Celtic, folk, and rock influenced bands, including Tony Trischka, Skyline, and Bottle Hill. Barry has toured the jam band and Americana scene since 2002 with rock legends Jorma Kaukonen of Jefferson Airplane and Hot Tuna. He performs regularly, or at least did, until Margot moved to Texas with Margot Leverett and the Klezmer Mountain Boys, as well as Silk City, a band he formed with his Skyline bandmates Danny Weiss and Larry Cohen. He has performed with Bill Monroe, Peter Rowan, Bob Weir, renowned singer Jerry Hadley, folk singer Tom Chapin, songwriter and labor activist Hazel Dickens, and innovative free music composer Eugene Chadbourne. In addition, he has performed at Carnegie Hall, the Library of Congress, the White House, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and New York's famous Rainbow Room, and at festivals throughout the world. It's an honor and privilege to have Barry leading our mandolin staff all these years. Make welcome from New Jersey, Barry Mitterhoff.
Sure. You have a word to say about the video?
I thought that you could do that, Barry.
It might seem a little odd to you that the video is. I do appear in it, but it's not. Doesn't feature me. It features my mentor, whose name is Tex Logan. And the first night I ever played bluegrass music in public was with Walt and Tex Logan, and it's been a long way since then. But I've been having some health issues. It doesn't let me play the way I would like to play. So I thought we'd talk a little bit more about my mentor and one of my best friends, Tex Benjamin Franklin Logan. And so this is a little piece that they did about him. And every time I start playing my mandolin solo, they start a narration right over my mandolin solo. But that's okay. I hope you enjoy it.
And managed to keep the fiddling going along as a kind of a recreation. If you could had a local place you could play regularly and work days, that'd really be great. But when you have to travel, 100, 200 miles or more to play and go to work next day, that's stretching it some. I have done that. I think research ties your mind up so completely that you have to, once in a while, break free from it or you'll go bananas. Born and raised in Texas, I miss it. I wish I could live there and do the kind of work I do, but when you get a lot of education and you're not fit to work many places, there's nothing really around my home town or around Big Spring, Texas that I could do. You don't have the opportunity there to do the kind of research I do. I do math research, I guess, is a general area, and more specifically, I guess, Fourier theory, and work on communication problems that have a good math problem in them, and sometimes we get some applied results there that apply to transmission of signals. Now, if you form this signal, divide it by a factor contained in that zero, this is still an entire function of exponential type, right?
It's not necessarily a first order zero.
No. Well, let's just take 1 0 out. It could be a high order zero. And it'll be at the same exponential type beta, the outer frequency.
Yeah.
It used to have a 0 at the C, and now you replace it by 1 at A, and you can move it around without changing the spectral support. And that would free 0 is free to be moved or taken out completely or whatever. So that's the important concept in this problem. And why don't we continue this after lunch? It looks like we're running into lunch. Okay. The D minor part in there.
Cherry G.
Yeah, take it from that part leading into. it seems that musicians and mathematicians go pretty well hand in hand. I know a lot of instances like that. I don't know the reason for that. I don't know. Maybe a mathematical mind appreciates music more than another, but that's hard to believe. I don't know why it is, but you can have a lot of fun with, you know, trying to put mathematics on music and try to figure out something, relations in music from mathematics, but the kind of music I play, I don't think is subject to that strict analysis. It's just free playing music. Okay. Well, friends, I've been living here on the East Coast a long time, working up and down the East Coast. I was born and raised in Texas, and out where things was quiet. Life here is so fast, furious, and frenzied. It finally got to me, and I wrote a tune called the Northeast Seaboard Blues that tells about that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bluegrass, although it didn't originate in New Jersey, it's a basic form of music. I think it's so fundamental. It's like various other forms of music. I liken it to Dixieland. It has a discipline all of its own, but still freedom. And there's no problem in communicating with people with good music. It's universal. It doesn't have to be New Jersey. It can be Japan or anywhere. Well, I like to be in a group where you get a lot of interplay and everybody gets enthused on a particular number. It's just interplay between musicians and the mutual feeling and release of feelings and talking back and forth with instruments. That's what it's all about. It's performing with other people that share and contribute, and it's just another form of communication. And of course, there is a nice feeling about being able to communicate that to people that enjoy it, too. It's nice to have an audience.
Wow, that was the young Barry Mitterhoff playing with the amazing Tex Logan, who, for my money, was the most amazing musician I've ever encountered. As you can see, he was a brilliant mathematician at Bell Labs, and he was just a total joy to play with more energy than I've ever seen anyone play. And he would bring crowds to their feet at all times, and he was also a very, very nice man. And Barry, I don't know if you're within talking distance here.
Yeah, I am.
You might want to talk a little bit about Tex, and then I think you're supposed to introduce the next clown.
Okay. Just for those of you who are keeping score, that was Lamar Greer on the banjo, his son David Greer, who was a high school student at the time, on guitar. He's one of the best flat pickers in the country these days. And then Roger Mason on bass, myself on the mandolin, and a youngster named Peter Rowan on the guitar. And we did have another song somewhere, but it got eaten up. But it was a joy to play music with him, and I will treasure it for always. Now, who's the next Joker? Is it Walt Michael?
Yeah, some guy like that, yeah.
Well, needless to say, none of us would be here tonight and without this next mandolin player here. And he's done a lot more in this world than, besides playing the mandolin and the hammer dulcimer and the guitar and the banjo a little bit. And he's organized Common Ground. This is the 26th year. And he's going to play a tune he wrote about Rin Tin Tin. Is that correct, Walt?
That's right. That's right. And I'm playing here with a wonderful mandolinist, Alexander Mitchell, and bassist Ralph Gordon, who I've been playing now with these guys for 25 years, and I can't say enough great things about them. But I'd also like to say, you know, I learned to play mandolin as much as I could from being around Barry Mitterhoff. And you know, back in the days when that's all we had to do was play music and travel. And he really opened up the world of the mandolin to me. Not that I opened it up that much, but I've enjoyed playing it. And certainly being around one of the masters, there's a little bit of osmosis that we all get. So this is Yo, Rennie. Yeah, well, that was fun. I'd like to be playing some music right now. And I believe that, Barry, you're to introduce our next performer.
You know, folks probably realize that those of us who play music for a living, sometimes we teach between gigs, and we teach, if we're lucky enough to go to a music camp like Common Ground, we go away for a week and teach there. but I can't express more vividly what it's like when someone you taught actually learns almost everything you know and goes on to be a professional player themselves. And that's what I'd like to say about this next amazing mandolinist. Walt and I were on a tour of parks in Bergen County, New Jersey in 1975, and this kid was in the audience, and he asked if he could start taking a few lessons, and then he kind of left me in the dust in many ways, and he's played with a bunch of bands he'll tell you about, but please welcome on mandolin Wayne Fugate.
Where's Wayne Fugate?
I think I still, if I'm not mistaken, have the distinction of being the only mandolin student that Barry ever had that took a lesson with him in every home that he's lived in the great state of New Jersey. Is that right?
Your parents' house too.
That's right. Yeah. And I still say to this day that everything I do correctly on the instrument is as a result of something I paid attention to when Barry was teaching me. And all the mistakes I make are accounted for in those times when I spaced out. But tonight I thought I'd share with you a couple of little video clips that were made fairly recently. A few years back I had the opportunity, really of a lifetime, to get to play on a show that was written by Steve Martin and Edie Brickell. It was a musical that they wrote for the Broadway stage called Bright Star. It was nominated for 5 Tony Awards, and because it ran in the year when Hamilton was first introduced to the public, we got slaughtered in the Tonys. Didn't win a single award. And the show closed about a month or so after the Tony Awards that year, but then we got a second crack at it going on a national tour. And that was really, really exciting. So the first clip that I'm going to show you features the band that played on Broadway and on the tour. We were featured in a little musical number at the top of the second act. And so the first clip is a sound check from Charlotte, North Carolina of that tune. And then the second clip, I stumbled upon a unique opportunity with a filmmaker named Patrick Wang. And he asked me to score a ballet piece by Jean-Philippe Rameau for a bluegrass-ish quartet. And so I arranged this piece for a bluegrass quartet, and he liked it so much he decided he would have us perform it live as the opening credits rolled. And so this second clip you'll see is from that movie. The movie is called The Bread Factory, and it stars Tyne Daly, who I think if you look closely you'll see in the clip. It stars Tyne Daly and Janine Garofalo and James Marsters and a host of others, as they say. So without further ado, selections from Bright Star and then The Bread Factory.
I know. 3, 4.
That was amazing, Wayne. Our next mandolinist is Mark Lincolns, and he's kind of a new friend. I just met him a few years back when we did some concerts where we joined a few different mandolin orchestras from Providence, Rhode Island, and Cape Cod, I believe it was, and Philadelphia and New York, all playing together. So when Walt and I were talking about starting a mandolin week here at Common Ground, we thought he would be the perfect person to connect us to the mandolin orchestra world. He's studied the bass with the bassist from the Philadelphia Orchestra, and he composes and he arranges, and his name is Mark Lincolns.
Thank you, Barry. It's a pleasure to be here, and I really appreciate the fact that you and Walt invited me to be a part of this experience. The initial pre-COVID plan was to have a mandolin orchestra as part of this week's events, and hopefully at some point in the future that might be an option. As Barry said, I lead a couple different mandolin groups, one in Baltimore and one in Philadelphia, larger groups. And I also had the good fortune to put together a smaller ensemble, which I'm going to feature this evening. And I selected this because this ensemble features two of the artists that you're going to meet after me, Katerina Sklar and Alexei Alexandrov. And a few years ago, I had the good fortune to get a phone call from Katerina. I didn't know her at the time. She and Alexei had just emigrated to the U.S. From Siberia. Amazingly accomplished musicians who studied at conservatories in Siberia, and did a lot of touring in Europe before coming here. And seizing on their availability and also the availability of some other very fine musicians, put together kind of an eclectic group called the Delphi Consort, that included Alexei and Kate, and also included another musician who's played with several members of the mandolin staff, Stephanie Mack, who was a bass player, who long career on Broadway. Most notably, she was the bass player for the musical Rent. After she retired from Broadway, she moved down to Philadelphia. She's part of the group. And we also have a very fine clarinetist, Antonello Di Matteo, who is an expat from Italy, who he now subs with the Philadelphia Orchestra. He's an amazing musician, both on clarinet, on accordion, and zampona, which is the Italian bagpipe, which is a really, really beautiful instrument if you're not familiar with it. And sort of the dream here was to pull together a mandolin-based group that also included reeds. I always loved the sound of plucked string and reed instruments. And Antonello playing the accordion, the clarinet, and the Italian bagpipe, all reed instruments. Having him available and Alexei and Katerina available, it was just a perfect opportunity to bring those sounds together. We do a pretty eclectic repertoire, from our own arrangement of Bartok's Romanian folk dances to Mozart's Clarinet Concerto in A, and some original music as well. The piece that I selected for tonight is one of my own compositions called Waterworks.
Yes. Wow. Mark Lincoln's, what a beautiful piece that was. It's just beautiful. And we do look forward to next year when we can gather and have people playing in person and we can have mandolin orchestras. This is just the beginning, I think, of our dreams for the mandolin world here at Common Ground on the Hill. I like that idea, mandolins on the hill. Our next performers come to us originally from Russia, and they were introduced to us by Professor Louis, who is on our blues staff, and as you may know, travels the world with Professor Louis and the Chromatics and played with the supergroup called The Band. And Louis's work took him to Siberia in the last few years, and I believe that's where he met Alexei Alexandrov and Ekaterina Skliar, who are amazing, amazing mandolin and domra players. The domra is a three-stringed instrument that has the sound pretty much of a mandolin, but in that it's a single string per course. You can hear the melody in a sort of a higher, I don't want to say refined tone, but it's a more discernible tone than the double strings of the mandolin. These are just great players. Alexei is a performer, composer, and he is a unique artist in playing the domra and mandolin in both classical and jazz styles. Not many people can make that bridge between those two styles, and he has expanded the boundaries of domra and integrated the sound of this Russian folk string instrument into jazz stylings. Ekaterina, now wrap your head around this, debuted with the Russian Folk Instrument Orchestra of the Buryatia Republic at age 11. 11, and went on to perform with numerous orchestras and chamber ensembles in her native Russia. She's a prize winner of many international and all Russian competitions. And for any of you who have been overseas, to Europe and further east, the European musicians are highly studied and not as haphazard as we are about the way we approach traditions and that sort of thing. I mean, the playing is just top rank. And here we have two young people now living in Philadelphia who are at the top of their game. We're just really delighted to have them with us. So make welcome Alexei Alexandrov and Ekaterina Skliar.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. And it's absolutely correct. We actually heard about Common Ground on the Hill long before we came to the United States, because Alexei had the pleasure to meet Professor Louis and make some music with him, because as you mentioned, Alexei plays jazz, and to my knowledge, he's the only domra player who actually improvises and plays jazz on domra and does it absolutely amazingly. So we actually met back in Siberia in the university where we both studied, and we didn't play together for a long time because he was playing a lot of jazz and I was really concentrating on classical music. But about 5 years ago, we had this idea that we wanted to play together. And we both play the same instruments. We play the domra and mandolin. So two small, pretty high-ranged instruments of the same lute family, but one from Russia and another one that has this rich history in Europe, coming from Italy, and of course in the United States. And we decided to try and experiment with what we actually can do with just having these two instruments together, without a piano or without a button accordion or guitar. And so we started looking for music, started creating arrangements and transcriptions. And soon enough, we figured out that the only limits is like our imagination. So right now we expanded our program to include music from Baroque period of time, because we believe that it translates absolutely beautifully to the mandolin and domra. And we play some romantic repertoire. Of course, Russian composers are a big part of our repertoire because we want to share this beautiful music. And also Alex brings a lot of experiments to our duo that you will be able to hear tonight, because being a great improviser and arranger, he always pushes me to also explore new sounds and new ways of playing. So the first piece we decided to share with you tonight is a sonata by Domenica Scarlatti, originally written for harpsichord. And if you know or ever heard harpsichord, it's actually instead of the hammers that we have on a piano to produce the sound, to hit the strings, harpsichord has those plectrums. So it's very similar nature of sound production to what we do on our plucked instruments on the mandolin and on the domra. So it's actually a lot of fun to try and play that music, even originally written for harpsichord. So the first you will hear Sonata by Domenica Scarlatti in our transcription for the mandolin and domra. And second piece actually combines something very old and something very new, because it's based on a Russian folk song, absolutely beautiful, stunning song, actually from Siberian region. And at the same time, Alex arranged it in this jazz style, and there are not only domra and mandolin used there. You will hear one of the oldest plucked string, multi-stringed instruments called gusli. And that instrument is absolutely one of the biggest loves for me, because it's such a beautiful magical sound that it creates. It's a little bit more it's a little bit similar to hammer dulcimer, but you hold it like a guitar. And there are less strings, and it's absolutely a beautiful sound that gusli has. And also we experimented a little bit with loop station, and we hope you'll enjoy it. And one more time, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure and such a treat to hear so many great mandolin performers tonight, and just to be part of this festival and get to work with so many amazing people. Thank you so much.
don't know that much about old Christopher. I met him here at Common Ground a few years back, and he's a great blues man. I think he plays guitar also, but he knocked me out with his blues mandolin workshops, and his singing is pretty amazing. So please welcome Christopher James.
Thanks, Barry. Oh, well, thank you. It's great to be here tonight. It's beautiful to hear so many amazing people. I'm honored to get to be playing with so many great mandolin players. My great-grandfather came over from Italy with a mandolin a long time ago, and a tradition had been in my family. My older cousin, Michael Sassano, played the mandolin, and I know Michael knew Walt, and Walt played at my cousin's wedding a long time. And I know Barry and Wayne, and I was hoping I'd get to meet Wayne this time in the flesh, but hopefully the next time. And when I started off with the mandolin after I played guitar and blues for a long time, and I got into the mandolin and first started off in learning some Italian things, like off of this album Traversata with Beppe Gambetta and Carlo Onzo and David Grisman. And I started off like that, going back to the roots with it. And then the mandolin opened up so many worlds, like the worlds of playing Irish music and getting to play things and meet people like Brian Connolly here, and they told me I didn't sound too bad when I played along and stuff. That was very encouraging. And though ever since I started, when I first heard B.B. King and Mississippi John Hurt and John Lee Hooker, the blues has been a thing that just really is the thing that grabbed me. And so getting into the mandolin and the history of it, and there's all the ways you can make some good blues sounds on the mandolin. So I'm going to play for you right now is a song called You Gotta Move. I learned from listening to Fred McDowell.
Danny Nicely from the state of Virginia, grew up in an incredible musical family, and Danny is just a great musician and teacher. He's got 1 million students. He's a dancer. He's been part of the Footworks for a number of years and has toured to Tibet. He can hold his own with the best of the bluegrass players. And we're just really lucky to have Danny Nicely with us. Make welcome Danny Nicely.
All right. First, I want to say hello to all my Common Ground friends out there. Missing you all, and I look forward to when we can get together again. And this piece of music I picked out tonight, and I just made the recording in my outbuilding last night. So it's fresh, hot off the press. And it's a tribute to a dear friend of mine who we lost in the last year, a fellow by the name of Larry Willis. And Larry Willis is a great jazz pianist who's been living in Baltimore and played with everybody. But the first time I heard this piece was in his apartment. He played it for me on his piano and told me a pretty cool story about it. And the story is two very producers wrote this piece for a very special lady, and they only made one disc. They only cut one disc, and they gave it directly to her. And then this piece of music didn't really go out to the public for, I think, 30 or 40 years. So I hope y'all enjoy it. Here's the video.
I'm here with a mandocello, and I'm going to play a tune that was written for Queen Elizabeth II, and it was written by Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn. It's called The Single Petal of a Rose.
Wow, Danny Nicely. Amazing, amazing. On the mandocello. I believe that was a Kalamazoo, if I could read that headstock right. That was great. Thank you so much, Danny. Danny is full of more musical surprises than anyone I've ever met. He's just amazing. We're coming full circle now and getting near the end of our program. And we're welcoming to our table the wonderful band Creve Rua from Northern Ireland. They were at our very first Common Ground on the Hill in 1995, and for a number of other renditions. And they've been led all these years by this wonderful tenor banjo player and mandolinist, Brian Connolly. And he's awake. He's awake. He's in Northern Ireland awake just for this very thing. So maybe we could bring Brian on and he could introduce his tune. Ah, there he is. All right. So is it as crazy and stupid where you are as it is here?
Well, hopefully we're coming through the other side of it. You know, it's been really, really strange times we've all been living through and trying to just get through it. And this is even really, really strange here because I didn't actually realize that I was to do this tonight until Tom and Maura told me earlier. It says, yeah, we all have to go on tonight. I said, what? It's 3 o'clock in the morning. But she said, don't worry, that's normal time. That's what happens when you're over in Scotland. We just sit up and talk and play till that time. So what's new? You know, so that's it. So it's been a great pleasure to be part of the Common Ground, as you say. It's hard to believe, right? We were there at the first one, and thankfully have managed to get over a few times since. A couple of years ago was there too, and even this week we managed to get get there virtual. We did a couple of classes with the swing mandolin and the classical mandolin. So it's amazing that no matter the different stages, we're always learning, and it's amazing what you can still learn with the music, you know. So this set we recorded this because we are in lockdown here, so you can't meet up and you can't do anything like that. So we all recorded the pieces separately, put them together. It's a set of 4 slipjigs. The first one's Hunting the Hare, Elizabeth Kelly's Delight, Alan O'Grady and Mulrua, and we're joined by the other members of the band. You have Patrick Davies on the uilleann pipes, Michael Cassidy, he recorded his from a lovely castle at the foot of the Mourne Mountains on the fiddle, and Jim Rainey on guitar. So thanks very much for being part of this magical evening with all the great music and stage and musicians. Thanks very much, much appreciated.
Great to see you, Brian. Oh my, oh my. Is that great music or what? Makes me want to be there in the north of Ireland. Thank you so much, Creve for uh, helping make our evening extra special. Just so great to hear that music. So wonderful. Maybe next year we'll hear it around the fountain and in the gazebo. After we do this next piece, I'd like for Barry to come back and we'll have a few words, but I'd like to introduce now some friends of ours that are so dear to our hearts. I believe it was in the 1980s when I first visited these people, ran into them. It's more than that. I ran into their house and they put us up, and they are the quintessential hosts of lost musicians in Scotland, and living on the west coast in Prestwick, Robert Burns country, and we miss them. And in fact, we're supposed to go on a vacation there in May, and the COVID shut us down. But we'll be back. We'll be back. Make welcome now from Prestwick, Tom Smith, and I hope that Moira is there so everybody can see her. There they are. All right. Wow. What are you doing up so late?
Well, we didn't realize we were going to be up so late, so I was cooking this afternoon, and it was a kind of wet, cold day, just typical Scottish summer. So we cracked open a bottle of wine about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and then we cracked open another one, and then we found out this was going on. So Moira went to bed for a few hours and slept, and I just sat up in the dark drinking, because that's what I'm good at, And if you'd made it over in May, that would have been almost the day, 29 years since the first time you stayed with us in this house. Really, where did the time go?
Yeah. Well, what people should know is that you are, I think, for my money, one of the great mandolin players in the Celtic tradition, and understated. Tom did a whole lot of touring, and then he met Moira and sort of settled down. She has that effect on Tom. And Tom
it's never too late to start again.
And Tom worked in a woolen mill. It's an amazing place, and walked, what is it, like 5 miles to work?
No, it was just over 2 miles there and just over 2 miles back.
So
every day for 20 years.
Yeah, and worked in the woolen mill and played his mandolin at night around the fire, and did a fair amount of great music making and recording with his friends. So, Tom, why don't you tell them about what you have here for us?
What do we have? Which
We've
one?
Got the singing one, the song.
What, the song?
Mhm.
Down the Moor. Okay, this was a song that I don't remember learning. I think I heard someone singing it about 40 years ago and remembered the melody. And then maybe 2 years later, I found the words that fitted it in a book and put them together. And then I made up a little sort of ditty to go in the middle and at the end of it. And I played it with a band I was in years ago. And then when I played with Watty originally, about 30 odd years ago, we sang this song. Then just forgot about it until Watty suggested quite recently that I should sing it again. And we thought, well, we'll put it together. And Watty got his young prodigy, Oliver, to play on it as well. And we just threw it together. And I did the song in one take in the kitchen, not thinking that a lot of people would see it or what a good job the guys would make of the instrumental. So I didn't put on clean clothes or comb my hair, and I didn't even give my voice some time to warm up. I just sang it. I thought, there you go, that's it. Go away and do something with it. And that's what we did. And I played it back and I thought, I wish I'd combed my hair, because there's no barbers open, and there's no hairdressers open, there's no dentists. It's been a strange time. Although we've been really lucky because we got on so well together, just the two of us, and we've got lots of space. But the lockdown hasn't been hard for us, but we have lost some friends. Some friends have died from this virus, and it's serious, you know. And if
Yes.
it means something to wear we wear masks when we go shopping. So you wear a mask for what, 15 minutes in the shop. It's not taking away any of your civil liberties. Just wear a mask, you know. Just be safe.
Right.
So we feel slightly guilty the fact that it's been fine for us, you know. We enjoy our home, we enjoy cooking and drinking and spending time together and playing music. So this was just something we threw together, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like it.
Well, it's so good to see you. So good.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll get together next year or the year after.
Yeah.
There'll be some time, you know. I'm not ready to fall off my perch just yet.
All right. What's the name of your song, Tom?
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's called Doon the Moor Among the Heather.
Which for those of you in New Jersey, that's Down the Moor Among the Heather. There we go.
3, 4.
As I wrote it one morning, May, being fine and sunny weather, some miles from home, a chance to roam among the bonny blooming heather, and among the heather, among the heather, some miles from home, a chance to roam among the bonny blooming heather. I rode along the huntsman's song, my heart being light as any feather, until I met where you find me last, brushing the dew frae out the heather, and among the heather, among the heather, until I met where you find me last, brushing the dew frae out the heather. She barefoot was and homely clad, and she wore neither hat nor feather, but her play tongue neatly in her waist as she tripped her the blooming heather, and among the heather, among the heather, but her play tongue neatly in her waist as she tripped her the blooming heather. We tricked and toyed from morn to night, it being the longest day in summer, until the rays of the setting sun came sparkling down among the heather, and among the heather, among the heather, until the rays of the setting sun came sparkling down among the heather. Queen, the last I met among the heather, and among the heather, among the heather, but if I
beautiful singing. Thank you so much, Tom.
Well, Barry, what do you think about this Mandolins on the Hill? You think we can do this again next year?
Well, I certainly hope so, Walt. It's you know, not to be thinking about the bad stuff all the time, but there's so much bad stuff going on. People dying, and the president of the United States, and everything happening, and then you have a concert like this, and it's like, you know, I mean, who out here has seen a concert in the last 3 months? Who out listening to this has played a gig, you know? And so this is like opening up the world again, hearing all this incredible music in one show. It was unbelievable. It really is.
It is. It's great, and you know, I almost feel like we're sort of full circle here. Elizabeth started off with a drop in the bucket, you know. It just, and I think it's really important for all of us to understand what a role we can play in making it a more civil world. At Common Ground, we believe that through the arts we can make a difference, that we can have fulfilled lives, and we can open up a world of previously unknown things to people, make their lives fuller. I think it's really important for us to say in our final night that Black lives matter. They more than matter. It's time that we got this all figured out and move into a new day, a new light. You know, we can do this. We can absolutely do it, and the time is right. Somehow the COVID virus has given us the time to think more deeply about these things. And we should keep in mind that there are people all around us who are without food, and they are getting sick. A number of people aren't. The majority of people aren't getting sick, but there are people who are very lonely. So let's reach out and be thinking toward, you know, what's next. We know that in looking at this 3-week thing, that we think it was a success in terms of understanding where we can possibly go with this from here. So everyone stay tuned to the Common Ground on the Hill website and the Common Ground on the Hill YouTube channel. All of the shows, the lectures, the keynote lectures, the art gallery talks, they're all on the YouTube channel. So, you know, if you get down, you know, go to the YouTube channel and watch some things, and think about our community, and think about how easy it is to reach out to people that you met. We can't thank the Carroll County school teachers enough for being the backbone of our work. We thank McDaniel College for giving us a home, and for you know, giving us the ability to have a little slack here. You know, normally we bring about 600 people to the campus, and it brings some sustenance to the college during the summer. I think they have faith in our work, and we will continue. We need, you know, and buy some CDs of all these musicians, go onto their websites and support their work. Arrange for a house concert or a Zoom concert with them, with your friends. The musicians, the artists really, really need your support at this time. This is not an easy time. You can always donate to Common Ground on the Hill. Just go to the website, and there are a lot of donation buttons. We made sure of that. I want to thank Rex for all his engineering work. Our interior office with Maria Wong and Matt Vinson, just amazing work they've done. We didn't know how to do this 4 weeks ago, and now we're doing it. And Gordon Roberts, what a great help he has been. He always with a smile and a solution in helping us to produce this. Linda Van Hart for all her work with the fine artists and crafters. Pam Zappardino in being the credit maven and working with the teachers. And all our volunteers. Now, the volunteer thing this year was a little different. No one was driving to the airport, and no one was taking papers, Xerox papers around to each class. But there was a whole lot of volunteer work that needed to be done. And there's Danny with his beautiful young daughter. It's great. You all, not everybody can see, but hi. Great. Yeah. And I want to thank our students, you all who are listening, the students who signed on to this. And, obviously we can't do this without you, but we do this for you, and we are students too. All of us who play this music and do this art, we come together so we can make this happen and learn ourselves. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. And pick up an instrument. And I thank everybody who played tonight. It's amazing. And I feel like I could walk into Tom and Moira's kitchen right now. She might even hit me with a bottle. They say she's good with the bottle. There's a tune named that. She's good with the bottle. But thank you all so much. And this is hard to say good night. But we'll just get together in the future. All right. And thank you, Barry, for heading up that week of great double-stringed instruments.
Thank you all.
Okay, we will see you all later. Be good or have fun, one or the other.
Or both.